Thank you for being here this afternoon. My name is Mark Oakton. I'm the coordinator with Instructional Technology as part of the Instructional Design and Professional Learning Division. Thank you, Sheila. Glad to see that you're on there. With us, we have Raymond Wilhite, Catherine Lee, two of our DLCs, our digital learning coaches, and hopefully Lorenda Norman, another digital coach, will be showing up shortly. As I said, we're recording this session. If you have questions, please type them into the text chat, and we will answer those questions as we go or at the end. You don't have to have a microphone. In fact, you won't be able to use your microphone if you do have one. A little bit about what we'll talk about today. We're going to start off talking about coding and exactly what coding is and what the hour of code is. We're going to talk about who can participate, when it's going to be, and why people will want to participate. We're going to look at why you should participate and what's in it for both you and for your school. Give you some tips for preparing to be part of the hour of code. We're going to look at what your kids will be doing and some additional resources. And we will take some time to answer questions at the end. The hour of code. It is supposed to be, the plan is for it to be the largest learning event in history. It is from December 8th through December 14th of this year. Now, the goal is to reach, and this is from code.org, their goal is to have 100 million students worldwide participate, which would be absolutely incredible. It's going to reach tens of millions of students at least in 180 countries. Anyone, anywhere can be part of this hour of code. Now, with it going from December 8th through 14th, it's not, well, we'll talk about that in just a second. What it is a 1-hour introduction to computer science. The purpose of it is to demystify code and show that anyone can learn the basics, to make it so that code is not this mysterious thing that average, ordinary, everyday people can't do, but to show that anyone can do it. And code.org has hourofcode.com has 1-hour tutorials available in over 30 languages that can be used in countries all around the world. Again, it's from December 8th through 14th. All ages can participate. They don't have to have any computer experience. In fact, students don't even have to have access to a computer to be able to do it. There are resources available for students that have no accessibility to computers, no access to computers, so that they can participate in this as well. Now, when we say that it's from December 8th through 14th, obviously it's not just one specific hour. Your students can participate in the hour of code at any time during that week. Okay, a little bit about coding. Ray, actually, Kathy, do you want to take this one for a minute?
Okay, coding is the language that we use. It's called the binary code. It's a language that they use for creating programs. It consists of commands that are strung together and basically make our apps, our computers, our web pages do what they do. So a little bit of information about binary code. It's a machine language or machine code. It looks like what it is here at the bottom. It's understood by the computer's central processing unit, or its basically brain, and it's not easy to understand. It consists of ones and zeros. But then there are languages that we put on top of that code, things like Java, Logo, HTML, etc., that translates the terms that we type into that binary code so that the computer can understand it. So we don't have to understand that zeros and ones. We can write in different languages. Hour of Code puts a very simple drag and drop mechanism in order to make a code so that students from anywhere from 4 years old can start coding. Okay.
And this is Raymond. As far as why should students participate and what they should get out of it, besides just reading the slide to you there, I'll let you do that. But it's, again, a very easy way to demonstrate coding. It's approachable it makes it approachable for any level of student or teacher. You don't have to be nervous about not knowing about coding. Most everything electronic has some type of chip that needs to be programmed, and the languages will change. Those of you who maybe took computers when you were in college, you know, computer language, COBOL, BASIC, machine language, etc., and there's C, C++, and Java even now in high schools. But the process is still the same. As far as where it shows that girls and minorities are severely underrepresented, it's not because they can't participate or because they don't know how. It's just they generally don't get introduced or put onto that track. This is, pardon me, Dick Castillo, the CEO of Twitter, and he's just kind of confirming that industry is behind teaching kids to code. You're teaching logical problem-solving skills. Get another graphic with some statistics for you. But even if a job doesn't require coding directly, having students learn how to solve problems logically, investigate, and communicate, because a lot of coding is just trying to figure out, okay, this didn't work like I wanted it to. How can I explain how to make it do what I want it to do? And that can be applicable across all subjects and socially, even in life. More than likely, if they go into something with computer science related, they'll have a job waiting for them, which hasn't been the case for a lot of graduates in the last several years. Thanks. Another statistic showing just basically that 2% of students, math and science students, are taking computer programming, but yet 60% of the jobs are in that field. Fewer students study computer science today than in the last 10 years ago, and more than 50% of all the projected math and science occupations are in computing jobs. They're also among the highest paying jobs for new graduates, yet fewer than 3% of college students graduate with a degree in computer science. I'm checking the chat feed. I think I'm okay. So fast facts, again, you can read those and how long it took people to get those amounts of users for each of those programs. But yet, last year, 15 million students worldwide learned to code last year. It doesn't mean everybody was an expert, but they got introduced to it and they've seen the concept. Over 10 million girls participated last year. That's more girls than combined total of all girls who've tried computer science in the last 70 years, so that was pretty unique. What's in it for you? Again, same thing. The biggest carrot for me last year when I did this for the first time, besides liking computer science and being a geek, is the 10 gig of Dropbox space. Some people like the $10 Skype credit from hourofcode.com, but regardless, it's really easy to do. You just have to register yourself and your intention that you're going to participate with your students. They talk about the classrooms getting video chats with technology industry leaders, and that one of the school in Nevada, one in each state, but in Nevada will get a $10,000 basically technology grant, but the whole school has to participate. Make sure to register by November 14th. Today's the 5th, so we've got to the 14th to be eligible for the Hour of Code prizes. So when we get through here, you'll see how to just go on and you just register, put in your name, your email address. It's pretty straightforward and very easy. Last year, Findlay Middle School actually participated with their whole school, and they won the $10,000 for the state of Nevada. So that was kind of cool. Somebody locally, not only in Clark County, but here, one of the in-town schools. This is just showing some of the statistics from last year's Hour of Code participation for CCSD. You can do this as a club for like after-school participation, or maybe if you don't have a whole class you'd want to do this with, but you have a couple of students you think would be interested in, you could do it, again, after school. No one's going to look over your shoulder and say, you know, hey, you did or didn't have enough people participating. But I sincerely believe that if you allow the kids to try this and just turn them on to it, basically, that they'll ask to do it again, especially if they can do it in class. Tricks them into learning something. That's the Padlet page. It's kind of hard to read these graphics. You can zoom in if you need to. On the bottom right, there's a plus a magnifying glass if you want to zoom in to read some of these. But the biggest takeaway I got from this when I was viewing it was the fact that, and somebody else has an open mic. Kathy, I think your mic's on. Just the fact that all the different levels of school, you can see there's some comments on there from some high schoolers, and there's some kids on there look like they barely able to read, but they were able to do this. And again, you don't even have to have computers to do this. So if you don't have a lab, don't think, oh, I can't do it because I don't have a computer lab or I don't have access. You can do this at any level.
Okay, we're going to now talk about, we've talked about why you should have your kids coding and kind of the participation from last year. So let me show you how you're going to actually sign up to participate and what that all involves. So I'm going to go into an app share for that and pull up my, and if you guys can just give me a green check if you can see my screen there. Okay, looks like most people are able to see. It keeps bouncing back and forth. Here we go. All right. So what you're going to go to for Hour of Code is just very simple, hourofcode.com. This is the home page for that. On the home page, there's a nice video that you can show your kids or that you can watch to learn more about Hour of Code. It is a YouTube video, but it comes through the filter. It's on educational YouTube, so it comes through the filter fine. On the right side, you're going to see where they have some links to the students to try it. That's where they're going to go when they actually do Hour of Code. Teachers, a link to where you can sign up to host a session. And that by hosting, I don't mean for a whole group, I mean just for your class. And then anyone else who wants to support it. If I scroll down this page, there's going to be some statistics, like we've already talked about, that talk about Hour of Code, and a map that shows all the classes so far that have signed up to do Hour of Code. And you can see it is a worldwide event, anywhere from New Zealand to lots of them in the United States, and it kind of gives you an idea of the kind of participation that is going to be taking place. Okay? Right now, there's 23,747 Hour of Code events around the world. That means classes that have signed up to participate. Okay? A little further down is where you're going to find your once you put in your information here, they will put you on this map above. And it's very simple to sign up. You just put in your name, your email address, the name of your school, and then where it says event type, if you are a teacher, you would put it in a school event. If it's a different person participating, it would be outside of school. And then if you want them to send you the posters, they'll send you a bunch of posters that you can put up. Then you need to put your full address in here. Otherwise, a zip code is fine, and they will just mark you on the map. If you're doing something special, you can do this highlight my special event and put in the description, and they will put that as they're getting closer, they're going to highlight some of those on their web page. Okay. There's a little bit more information on the side if you're a teacher or a parent, or if you just love computer science, what you can do. And a link to here's how you run an Hour of Code. But we're going to talk more about that in a second. Once again, talks about the prizes down below, and there's a whole page on that I'll show you in just a second. Below your sign up is the FAQ. So if you have questions, there's all kinds of things, when Hour of Code is, why participate, who is sponsoring it, Hour of schools, and increasing participation by women. Okay? I'm sorry, you're coming in and out.
We missed you on a couple parts. Right, sorry, we missed you on a couple that you're.
Oh, okay.
But I guess it missed. If anybody has any questions on it, they can ask in their text you.
Yeah. Let me go back up. The form here, that's what you fill out for hosting. And like I said, hosting, it just means you're doing it in your class. And then here's all the questions. If you miss something, please put a question into the chat and we will get to your questions. Okay? If I go back up to the top of the page, there's a couple other things here. On the right-hand side, you'll see it says Resources, FAQ, and Prizes. The FAQ part just takes you back down to the bottom of the page where that FAQ, frequently asked questions section is. The Resources page is going to be where you're going to want to go after you sign up. So if I go to the Resources page, at the very top it says, Hosting an Hour of Code, see how the how-to guide. If you click there, it's going to give you a step-by-step
We're losing you again, Kathy.
of
Kathy, why don't you start over
so
with
I'm
the
not
last couple of sentences? You keep cutting in and out.
Okay, like I said, I'm sorry, I did plug in. I'm not on Wi-Fi, so I'm not sure why. But I'm on the resource page. Let me go back real quick. So I'm on the resource tab of the Hour of Code website. If I go under resources, your most important thing that you're looking for is going to be right here, the how-to guide. There's also a link on the left side here. When I go to that how-to guide, it is going to walk me through each step I need to get ready for Hour of Code, and it's very simple. The first thing I would do is you're going to be doing, what my students will be doing. You'll notice it says there is minimal prep time and the lessons are all self-guided. So if you don't know a lot about coding, that is fine. It is set up so that you don't have to know a lot. If I go down, next thing you need to do is plan where and when you're going to do this Hour of Code. So planning, computers are optional. Most of the programs, the practice sessions, whatever, for the Hour of Code work on iPads or other devices. Even if you don't have computers at all, you can do a paper pencil type of activity that leads into coding. You can partner students up if you don't have enough computers for everyone. Okay? So plan ahead, like it says, pair programming. Then there's some videos. I'm going to show you where those are in just a second on the resource page. I start my Hour of Code. Last year we started with watching one of the videos. There are 1 minute, 5 minute, and 9 minute versions of the videos, so it depends on how much time you have. It kind of tells you what to say to the kids to get them excited about coding, and then they go and start their Hour of Code. This page also gives you a couple of hints on how you might manage some of the, and it's okay to respond, I don't know, let's figure it out together. So it kind of lays it all out for you, what to do if students finish early, and they do have certificates you can print, so it goes over how you can print those. Also, there's information here on if you want to extend Hour of Code for more than an hour, how you could go about doing that. So it's all on this resource page on the guide. So I'm going to go back to Hour of Code and back to the resource page. That was the how-to guide. Underneath there is some handouts. If you're interested in more information, you can print out one of the handouts. And then underneath there are the videos that they talked about. You can show these to show your kids about coding and get them excited about the event. If you don't have a strong internet connection at your school, you can download the video ahead of time by using this little down arrow button. Okay. And then here's a copy of what the posters, if you sign up to have the posters, what those look like. And there's also things you can put on social media, things of that nature at the bottom. But the most important thing on that page is this see the how-to guide. The last thing on the website I want to make, there's that $10 Dropbox or $10 Skype, I'm sorry, 10 gigabytes of Dropbox or $10 of Skype credit. These are some of the people who will be doing the classroom chats if you are lucky enough to win a classroom chat. Anyone from Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, to a U.S. Senator. Jack Dorsey started Twitter. They've got people from all over the place, even Ashton Kutcher. Okay, who are going to be doing those things. And then if your whole school would like to participate and try to find, get that $10,000 worth of technology, here's where you fill out for that. The hardware prize application is down here. And what you have to do is by November 14th, I believe it is, you have to fill out this information and you have to submit a plan of how you're going to have all students participate. So this actually has to be done before the Hour of Code week in order for you to be in the drawing or whatever to win that. And it'll be taken from, we get one per state, winner per state, and then it'll be from all the schools where the entire school plans to participate. Okay? Once then you get ready, you've played your video, and the kids are ready to do Hour of Code, you would just take them to hourofcode.com. They would click on Try It, and you get started. There's a video that starts them out, explains exactly, models for them, exactly what they need to do. Okay? Okay, I'm going to stop my app share now. And just want to share a couple other sites with you. The first one is, this first link that's on here is the Hour of Code. That's that resource guide, the teacher's guide I already showed you. This is the YouTube link to that YouTube video that's on the front page. And then there's a couple of other YouTube videos. These all come through the filter. They're on the educational YouTube site. And the first one is encouraging girls to participate from Malala, the young woman who was attacked and abused. And that's the site where she encourages young ladies to participate. And then there's also a...
And who won the Nobel Peace Prize recently, the youngest winner of the Nobel Peace Prize.
Correct. And then there's also a special elementary overview of coding with or without computers. There's a video about that if you're in an elementary school. Okay. Now,
if you're done with, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Raymond, go ahead.
I'm just not sure we're in line. Yeah, what will your kids be doing? Just let me know when you want me to go in to show a couple.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Next thing we're going to do is Raymond's going to show you just a couple of the different activities so you can get a feel for what is inside Hour of Code and what would be involved.
So I'm going to try to app share here. Do you guys see my desktop? Well, I can't see Saba when I do that. Oh, you could see. So was it gray, or did you see the? Did anybody see the starting your Hour of Code?
Yes, that's what we saw.
Okay, so I can't see anything. Somebody's going to have to cut in and tell me something audible if I need to stop or if I'm cutting out, because I can't see any of the chat now. So just starting out from the code.org, when the students begin, this is the page you're taken to at code.org and learn. And these tutorials, they say for beginners, and sincerely they really are. There's several of them here. So I started out with this first one with Angry Birds, and I just went ahead and hit go. The kids didn't have to sign in. It starts off with a video from Zuckerberg talking about coding in general and some ideology about it and why you should learn it. But I just went ahead and canceled the video so you didn't see that through the app share and hit OK, but it's pretty straightforward. Can you help me catch the naughty pig? So I hit OK, and we're literally just plugging these in, and they explain them. Drag a move block and snap it below to the other block, and hit run to move forward. When run, move forward, and then it's going to move forward again. And I'm going to come back to the, and were you guys able to see that? The green check, if you could see that and hear it? Okay. So I'll go back to the app share. And just you wrote 2 lines of code, and you can actually go show code if you do want to get more in depth, and you can actually then see what that was. This is in Java, so move forward, and it just has it twice, and that was it. Continue. It's going to go on to part 2. Pigs ruffling my feathers, help me find them. And eventually it puts a couple of blocks in your way, and you have to for sure use the turn to use the turn, but then you can change it from left to right, and you might have to put 2 turns to turn around backwards. It's just really basic, but it shows the logical steps again, just to coding. If you skip a little farther forward, I'm going to skip this video, and this one has monsters, but you can see you don't want to run into the monsters, and then it's got some repeat until, so you don't have to put move, move, move. Do you guys have any questions on that specifically? Anyone?
Raymond, why don't you show them how that last one was done?
Okay. So this is my my desktop, if you will, when run. So that's when I hit this run. My guy is right here, so I want him to move forward. So I'm going to drag this and just click it. And I'm going to say do that, repeat until, repeat until it gets to that. So see, sorry, I'd have to go back here and run it. All right, so just for quick, we'll go move forward. It looks like probably like 4, but I really don't want to have to do that. And I can hit run just to see how far I get. Oops, sorry, try one more time. And it would actually tell me what, here, I'll do this one more time. I clicked through that too fast. Try one or more of the blocks below to solve the puzzle, so it wants to turn left. I'm going to move forward one more time, then turn left. And then another move forward. So do you guys get the idea on that? And do you want me to keep going or not? Okay, and let me get back to the other screen. Another one that I just picked real quick was the scratch example. This one's a little, I won't say, it has a few more options in it. It's a little more in depth, but again, once your kids have done this and been introduced to it with just, they start off with move forward and turn left. By the time they get to this activity, they can actually turn. There's lots more options, but it's still all completely plug and play. So when clicked, it's going to move 10 steps and turn 15 degrees. And you can't see it move the steps because we don't have anything to reference it in the background. I literally had never used this till the starting of the webinar here, just to see what needed to happen. But there's all kinds of levels. There's also Khan Academy videos that explain to you different stuff, intro to drawing, challenge course, just showing you more information. So if you have a kid that's ahead of where everybody else is, you don't have to worry about you not knowing how to do it.
If I can jump in, I just want to let people know, I was in a 4th grade class that was doing this the other day. They had actually, were doing it early. They were doing it through code.org instead of the Hour of Code. And I was amazed at what 4th graders could do. They worked their way through. There's little videos. They talk about debugging and all these other terms that most people are not familiar with that are coding terms. The kids had no trouble picking up what those terms meant and what they were doing, and they'd watch the little video, they'd move on the next step. If they had trouble, they would go back and keep trying. So a lot of that perseverance was really showing up inside the classroom while they were working on it, and a lot of problem solving. It was very, very cool to watch.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So again, this is the Khan Academy stuff where it has specifically subject Hour of Code. So went to Khan Academy and looked up Hour of Code, you could find it, but I got to it all from specifically this code.org page, tutorials that teach JavaScript. And some of these look a little more difficult. Some of them might be, but again, I think your kids, if they start out at the beginning and move on, sincerely, my son did this last year, and it was, pardon me, my son did this last year as a 6th grader, and he started out at the Angry Birds and went all the way through the Scratch stuff and through the artist. You'll see it as you go through with your kids. One of the apps is The Artist. It was learning a lot of recursion and other programming stuff that you usually don't even get into at the beginning of the year. And he didn't have a problem understanding it, just simply if he did, he went through the tutorial or watched the video again.
Finally, we've included some other resources here if the kids, after you finish,
Can I cut in here, Kathy, and show them
Yes.
one
Sure.
more of the coding activities that I thought was really neat? Let me try to do the app share. Okay, this one was Lightbot, and went back to the code.org, and code.org and hourofcode.com are connected websites, and so the Lightbot I thought was a cool little activity for kids, and there's multiple levels that tells them how to use different commands, and it's just like the Angry Birds one, except with sometimes different commands. In this case, we're trying to, it gives you the directions there, and it walks the kids through how to do this. It says, welcome to Lightbot, tap anywhere to continue, and our job is to light all the blue tiles. It tells us how to do it, and then you press play. So right now I want, in fact, you can see here the little hand will direct you which ones to hit. I know that I need to go forward twice and then hit the light up button, and I'm going to run it. And if that was the first time, it would tell me that I had won. Good job. Some new commands: the left and right turn. And so I want to go forward twice, turn left, forward twice, turn left, forward twice, and light it up. And then it gets a little bit more complicated. You have to tell the character to jump, and it goes to jump up and to jump down, and it goes to other commands like that. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of some of the other coding and the really fun games that kids can do, but it gives them an idea of what code looks like.
And if I can say one more thing that I neglected to, they also have, again, we talked about it, but I didn't show it. They specifically, I'll app share this page real quick for what it's worth. They specifically have a no device or internet, try unplugged computer science. And basically what they're showing is the kids here are writing directions: forward, looks like right, back. But they'll write directions through a maze, if you will, and they would exchange papers with another student who uses their instructions to get through and like duplicate the maze and to see what it would look like. From this, it gives you again a video to watch. All the videos we've seen on the site go through the firewall at school, so you shouldn't need to worry about that. If you are worried about network connectivity, you can usually pull the educational ones too. It'll probably have a download link if you went to it directly from YouTube.
I've seen a lot of you in the chat adding in resources, and I think that's awesome that you're sharing those things. We've listed some here too, that if after you finish Hour of Code, you want to get started with others. All the ones we've been talking about here, you can find at studio.code.org, and there's also a link from Hour of Code straight there. Code Academy, there's a whole bunch of others listed here. Specifically on the other side, we have a bunch of iPad apps, although Hour of Code and studio.code.org both work on iPad specifically. You just go through the browser and they work fine. But so here's other things if you want to go further and find out more about those and have kids doing other kinds of coding, or they're interested, these are resources you can pass along to them.
Any other questions from anybody in the text chat or any other examples they'd like to see?
Mark, any questions that came up in the chat that we need to address?
I'm double checking it right now. Stacy asks, my students are working on the elementary school courses on code.org. Will I need to change their course to Hour of Code, or do they not log into their account? Kathy or Raymond, either of you would like to answer that?
For Hour of Code, they do not need to log in, but it's going to be, depending on what they're doing at code.org, it may be something they've already gone through at, so I would make sure you pick a different activity that you want them to do. Some of the activities do require a login, but most of them do not.
if the student is going through and going to progress and take this on even outside of class, or if you're doing this over a couple of days, to set up your class is really easy. You can get a export of your student names from Infinite Campus. It can be done, or depending on your class size, you can just write them in. But it will take a mass import basically of your student names, first name, last name, or just first name, initial, whatever you want, and you sign up yourself as a teacher, then you go in and set them up as students, and the only thing that it asks for, it asks you to put their age and their sex, their gender, male or female. Then you also have the option of setting up that they could log in to the site, and it gives them a URL to go to, and then they can log in either with pictures. So if it were primary and they sincerely didn't even want them trying to enter in a word, they can use pictures and just identify the picture, or they can do it by word. It'll just randomly generate a word. Or if the student has their own email address and they use your join code as the teacher, then they would be able to set up their own password. And it's really easy, because if somebody does forget a password, you can just, by logged into the site, you can click on their name and show their password, or their picture, or their combination of random words, whatever it happened to be. And right after you set them up initially, it gives you a way to print out all of their information. So basically you could pass each student their little sheet of paper that had their username and the URL, the username and password. And they could do that from school or home or anywhere else, but then it'll show up under your account also.
Okay, Brandy asks, let's see here. She says, how extensive does the plan for the whole school need to be? Can the hour of code be actually all day long through all English classes all day, for example?
I looked at that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark, if you got a specific.
I think if it's going to be the whole school that's doing it, then it does need to be coordinated. I wouldn't want to see them in their English class all doing the Angry Birds, and then in their math class doing the Angry Birds, and then in the science class doing the Angry Birds. So yes, there should be some coordination if you're going to do it whole school. I think having a grade level team, having a department in the secondary schools doing it would be a wonderful way of coordinating that. That way there's not that overlap. Although I think there are enough activities out there that if multiple subjects wanted to do it, that it could be done very easily. Obviously in an elementary school it's probably a lot easier to coordinate. Raymond, did you want to add to that?
I was just going to say, when you go to plan the participation, there's an example PDF or Word document that they show, and you can click on that. And that pretty much shows, it almost looks like a prep schedule, only it shows this teacher doing hour of code this time, this teacher in the lab doing it this time. But it's literally almost like a prep schedule. But for secondary, I agree with Mark that having a core subject level class that's something everybody has to take would do it.
Are there any other questions from anybody? I'll wait a second in the text chat. While we're doing that, I would like for you to share what you've done with code.org, with the rest of the district. And let me do an app share here. A couple things. There is some training that's being offered by the CTE department. Can everyone see the training flyer here? This went out to schools that there is some training that's being offered. If you have questions, your contact name is Jeannie Donadio. She's the director of CTE. Send her information or a question through Interact, or Cindy Chang is helping. 2 of the Saturday trainings have already passed. The last Saturday training is next weekend, and I don't know if it's full or not. But there are some evening trainings in January and February that, again, that won't apply just to hour of code, but that applies to coding in general. If you're interested in doing more with coding with your students, please feel free to look into those trainings.
And Stacy, sorry, I didn't mean to sidestep your question when you talked about if you have your elementary kids in code.org, will you need to change to hour of code? I don't believe so, because I actually believe if you go to hour of code and you click to register a class, it's going to automatically take you over to code.org.
the fourth grade class I was in went to one of those trainings that's being offered, and she said it was the best training she'd been to in the district. She said it was fantastic. They got some really neat swag too. She got a hat, she got a whole manual about how to deal with some of the vocabulary and things like that, and examples she could use in class, and it was just an awesome training, she said.
As well, we would like to have you share, like I said, to share some of the things that you're doing with your students. Monique Gaudin, it's MoniqueGaudin at CTE, is really one of the people that's leading this movement, and this is what it went to the school board last year and was presented to the school board. You saw some of the clips from this, but we'd like to see what people at different schools are doing, and that's really what we're looking at. We want to share your successes and have everyone else be able to see the wonderful things that you're doing with coding with kids. That ends our presentation, unless Kathy or Raymond, do you have anything else that you want to share real fast?
No, I'm just looking at the questions. If the students don't log in, how does hourofcode.org know if we participate? Some of it is like they wouldn't know if you didn't have computers, if you were doing the unplugged activities. Some of it is self-reported. Obviously, if you do register yourself and then put students in, then they could directly obtain and collect as far as how many lines of code, because that's their big thing. They'll say we did over however many millions lines of code during this time frame. Amber, I don't know the question answer to yours. The code courses can be taken individually. Some of my school told me it was all or nothing event. If you're talking about the code courses on code.org, yes, those can be taken individually. They can, just like I skipped around on the Angry Birds, went up to like a level 20. I skipped around on that. There's also a 20-hour course. That's up to you, but as far as you said, understanding I had to be able to attend all 3 Saturday classes, that I can't answer. I'm not sure.
Amber, check with CTE for the details regarding the classes. I was just passing the information on really briefly because I received the flyer, but I believe it is a one Saturday for 8 hours or three weekdays. I could be mistaken now that you say that, though. Okay, that ends our
Thank you all for coming.
presentation. Thank you so much for being here. The Hour of Code website. Feel free to bookmark that and explore it and play around a little bit there so you can see what your kids will be doing. And thank you for being here. We'll hang around. If you have any questions, we'll be here for a few minutes, and you can ask the questions, and we'll do our very, very best to answer them. Thank you, Kathy and Raymond and Lorenda.
Thanks, Mark. And Kathy and Lorenda and everyone else.
Thanks, everybody.
Eugenie, I don't know if somebody answered your question. The Hour of Code is a once-a-year event, but I think that the activities, I don't know that they take the activities down, so I think that if you want to use them later on, they would probably still work. Diana, yes, the presentation will be this webinar is available from using the same link. It will be on Centra, so you can go back and view it again at any time. Diana, did that answer your question? Oh, it's definitely okay. The more people that we have seeing this, the better. We want to get the word out. Oh, definitely, Eugenia. I think that's a great idea to have the students try, even if they're not in your class right now. Yes, if you have questions, please email them to me, and I will either answer them or get the answers for you.